evening, merry drinkers. Welcome back. Tonight we're going to focus in on a specific type of hop. It's a new one, in hop circles anyway. It's been around for about 10 years now. It's called Idaho 7, Idaho number 7, or sometimes Idaho 007. And we'll be using as an example of that hop this supermarket beer. It's by Mad Squirrel. This is called Aztec. It's a 6.2% mountain IPA. We'll get to mountain IPA in a bit. But this uses just Idaho 7, so it should be a really good example of what we can expect from the type of hop. Now, hops in brewing are really important. They add a lot of the flavour, and they're also used as a preservative. So way back in the day, when they initially started getting used for a traditional English IPA, the hops were used to preserve the beer. It was brewed in Burden, and in order to get halfway around the world, all the way to India in the days of the Raj, they started using hops as a preservative. There's a preservative quality to the hops. But they also found out that by using those preservatives, it added a really nice bitter flavour to the beer that was quite appealing. Move forward a few years and the Americans have taken it onto a completely different level. So the hops that they can grow naturally over the pond have much more citrus and tropical flavours to them, particularly in New England, and that's where the mountain IPA bit comes in. It's meant to represent the bridge between a New England IPA or a NEPA that you get on the East Coast with those strong, pungent fruit flavours and thick bodies, and the West Coast in around California where you get much more bitterness and a much more carbonated, aggressive type of beer. And the mountains are supposed to, I suppose, signify that it's the best of both, or worst of both. Where we'll see. My American geography is not great, but they definitely don't have mountains that go down the middle. There's the Appalachian, which I think are up, on the eastern seaboard, and across the west you do get the Rockies, and you get Sierra Nevada, which is big in brewing. It's one of the best places to grow hops. So we'll go from there. So got great big swathes of America, Sierra Nevada, and then the West Coast style. And the mountain IPA is meant to sit between the two. The history of Idaho 7, it was specifically developed. So you've got traditional English hops, and over the years they've sought to crossbreed them to either get better growth, better bitterness, or better flavour. And Idaho 7 was done by Jackson Farms, by a guy called Nate Jackson. That is a fabulous American style name. And he was offering some hops out to Sierra Nevada themselves. And out of the selection, they identified number 7 as having real potential to be quite tasty. And that's essentially where the number 7 comes from. There's a great big selection, and number 7 showed the most potential for yields and for flavour. It's meant to bring out a really nice balance between the citrusy, fruity New England flavours, but then also a piney bitterness all in one hop to save a combination of them all. I've recently bought a book called The Book of Hops, which is by Dan DiSorbo, who is an American rather than an Italian. And just to read a bit about Idaho 7 itself before we try the beer. So it's been likened to a stick of juicy fruit chewing gum. And it's an addition to the evergreen menu that we've got of North American hops brewed in the over towards the Pacific, over towards Sierra Nevada way. And this is Idaho 7 is priced for it's got aroma and flavour. A lot of New England IPAs and West Coast will, the brewers will work really, really hard to get both of those things out of a selection of hops, whereas this should hopefully deliver both using just one. It's no longer a product of just Idaho. It's managed by Yakima Chief Ranches, which were a huge hop company in America. It's high yielding, late maturing, and has dense, sticky cones, and is known to some as the 007 Golden Hop. So what we can expect is, they've got the full cones exude pungent tropical fruits, pineapple, mango, ripe peach, and tangerine citrus. They are balanced by a dankness of pine and black tea. Should have some wonderful aromas, flavours of any beer, like it's hopped with one-of-a-kind variety. You can go it alone, but also pairs well in hop-forward style beers. So that is specifically, you're looking for the flavour of the hop. The malt is reducing in the background. It is those oily, orangey, citrus flavours that you're looking for, which is right up the street for IPAs and pale ales. Now, Mad Squirrel, they've been going since 2004. I think they're initially set up as Red Squirrel, but I do like their little red-eyed, beady squirrel on the can. And as this is an Aztec one, it's got their sort of traditional Aztec lines, Nazca lines going down along the edge of it. They're based in London, just north of London, the base of the hills of the Chilterns. They've got tap rooms set up in Watford, and they've got a big deal that they've sold with St Albans FC. So if you're unaware of London geography, that's probably, you're not far out the urban sprawl before you get to those two places. And they've slowly but surely added to their brewing capacity. They've got bigger and bigger and bigger, and slower. And their supermarket stuff, they've just having a little taste of it. I've not tried this beer before, but the other ones I've had have not been too shabby at all. So I've got a Hackney little IPA glass. Let's pop this in and see what it looks like. I mean, not only are they in supermarkets these days for Mad Squirrel, they're also in Wetherspoons, so hopefully they've made the jump. So just pop that up there. That is quite a light orange, bit of bubble going up the glass for me. Quite a nice head to it. Oh, that really smells. There's loads of peach. Like a slightly dank orangey tangerine. For a supermarket beer, that smells pretty good. Bought it from Waitrose, it was £3.75. Smells really inviting. So that Idaho 7 flavour profile or aroma that they were talking about is flying off the top of this. It's whetting the appetite. I'm going to dive in and give it a try. Cheers. That is an incredibly fruity beer. That is really orangey. Not a sticky tangerine on the taste like it smelled. It's a bit more orange cordial thinness to it. There's bits of pineapple in there. There's like a melony berry type flavour. Lots of fruit, but it's not a thick. There's like quite a nice medium. There's a medium body to it. It's quite drinkable in the mouth. It's very lightly carbonated as well. It's sort of, which is definitely my preference. I'm a cask beer drinker, so anything that's a bit light on the carbonation is always going to appeal. Bitterness wise, whereas a New England IPA, I think that's much more towards that tendency. You get lots of citrus, not a thick mouthfeel, but a pretty good one. West Coast, it depends where you stand. That will be a very mild version of one. It's not smack you in the mouth. It's not thin-bodied. The carbonation isn't producing that really harsh bitterness at the back of your throat. This is, if it's a mountain range, I'd say It's a bit more Appalachian than it is Sierra Nevada. On the back of the can, it's got the Aztecs were seen as superior and dominant in their native land. Mountain IPAs have the body of a New England with the bitterness of a West Coast. A medley of tropical and stone fruits with aromatic tones of pine for an ever so slightly bitter finish, being single hopped with one of our favourites, Idaho 7. Really makes this brew superior and will dominate your taste buds. I'd go with slightly bitter finish in there. They've nailed it on the head. Either side of that, the marketeers have got a hold of it. That is a very drinkable beer. At 6.2%, you're not really feeling the impact of that. And it's not a sipper. It is that fruity taste in the mouth is really encouraging the brain to drink it back rather than just take it leisurely. In terms of delivering a style, tropical stone fruit and dank. It's light on that for me, but the aroma really kicked in. I can see why people would use this hop to probably be a bit more sensory when you were sort of drinking. You know, we're getting ready to drink it, and then you might have something like Citra or Simcoe ready to sort of really power you in the mouth after you've finished with it. But Idaho 7, I can see why they developed it, and given the amount of time it takes to combine, test, get the flavours right and bring it to market, that's probably about 10 years worth of investment from Nate Jackson, and it delivers. Mosaic, Citra, you know, quite popular ones, but this brings out those other flavours and adds to the nose. So Idaho 7, if you can try it on its own, I think it's a very drinkable drink and you won't be disappointed. Does it taste like a juicy fruit? I've not had a stick of that chewing gum for a while. It's bringing back vague memories, but nothing too spectacular. But Mad Squirrel, that is a top quality beer for £3.75. If you can get 4 of those for the price of 3, you'll be winning. I reckon you could sort of crush through those on a hot summer's day, less so on this winter's type of evening. But to the mighty hop, cheers.